Yo, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the It's Needed podcast, where we discuss real issues involving law enforcement in the community. It's your boy Ryan Tillman, founder of Breaking Barriers United, and I'm joined today by the light-skinned wonder himself, Mr. Oh No, it's the Popo. And we're also joined by the one and only Savage himself. What's going on, Billy?
Happy Monday, everybody.
Man, y'all stashes.
You seem very happy about that Monday.
No,
Billy.
I'm not
very happy.
I'm not. I know, right? Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Oh, bro, I'm definitely, man. Your guys' stashes are killing me right now, bro. I can't take y'all serious.
Man, I feel like what was it, Transformers? With our mustaches combined.
I don't know if I could ever take a person serious that has a mustache, bro. I just don't know if I could.
Bro, listen, I don't even got to tell people to do stuff at work no more. Like, I get out the car, they just do it. It's like telepathic. Like,
but if you meet someone and they already have one, it's hard to imagine them without it.
That is true, because I have a boss
yep.
who had a stash ever since I know him, and then when he cut it off, I felt like I lost a part with it. I was like, hey, man, where'd you go?
He said I lost a part with it.
I'm like, where'd you go? I'm like, who are you? So,
plus it's also like driving a Jeep. Like, when you see somebody else with a mustache, you just kind of give them the head nod like, yeah, we on the same team. Keep it moving.
Oh, man.
What's up with you, Ryan?
Chilling, bro, man. We in the studio, bro. We've made a lot of upgrades. I was just talking about it before we jumped on today, but this room before when we came in here, it was like an empty canvas, bro. It was old carpet. You know, the walls had paint, looked like it had been on here since for the last 25 years. And, bro, looking at it now, man, it is phenomenal, bro. You can see it now, the wood wall we got in the background. We just threw a TV up on the wall the other day. So now I'm looking at AJ on a big TV in here, and his arms look still small on that TV. Still looks small on that TV.
Super small.
It's just cool, man. So things have been good, man. We've been holding up, making steady progress on our end, and just trying to make the most of, the current situation we're in. It sounds like I'm reading a lot of articles and things like that. It sounds like they're gonna start trying to open up the country back up, and I know there's a lot of debate with that. Whether or not we should, whether or not we shouldn't. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Should we open it up or should we keep it closed?
Billy?
I think we should at least try to open up. There needs to be a plan, because it can't just be like, hey, every time we get to where we said we were going to stop, we're just going to extend it. People are going to get tired of that. You can't tell working people, stop working, we'll send you $1,200 every 6 months. It's just not possible.
Yeah. I did get up to $2,000 a month though, but just another thing.
$2,000 a month
in California, at least. Well, they proposed something like that for California.
I still take it. Man, that's a tough one, man. Someone brought up a good point at work the other day, because all we do is debate with each other now, because we can't go out and be proactive and do stuff. So, and he said that there's a country, I can't remember exactly where it is, but that they basically just said, like, when this hit, they were like, we ain't gonna force y'all to do nothing, but y'all know what y'all risking. If you're elderly or high risk, like, just don't go outside. But if you do and you catch it and you die, like, don't, whatever. And he said it seems to be working. So I kind of like that, but we know how we are. It's look at us now. Like, we have restrictions, and there's like block parties. I seen a video with a house party. The living room probably had 50 people in it, and that was here local. So if it's happening here, it's happening everywhere. So it's tricky, but like Billy said, at the same time, like, we have bills to pay, we have goals we want to achieve, financial goals, monetary goals, and we want to travel, we want to do things, and it's rough when you're telling us, like, hey, you can't do this, you can't provide for your family anymore. Like, it's definitely gonna cause some issues.
Yeah,
what's your view on it?
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, where it's like, it sucks people can't work, and but the other side of that though too is, like, you give people, it's one of those, goes back to the old theories, like, you give them an inch, they're gonna take a mile. You know what I mean? And it's like, at what point are people going to recognize and take things serious? And what, I was talking, so it's funny, when I went to go buy the TV for this room, I was talking, my buddy works here, and so we're talking, he works at Best Buy, and so we're talking, I'm like, hey man, so have you guys been busy? And he was like, honestly, before, like, we weren't that busy. He was like, we were kind of steady, doing curbside pickups. And he was like, and then when these stimulus checks went out, he was like, bro, like, we just like skyrocketed. Like, we got like overly busy, like Black Friday again. He was like, people were going nuts with their stimulus checks. And so
that's how Ryan got that TV.
Well,
That's exactly right, bro. That's exactly right.
Not
Two
that,
of them.
Not that we know those people's situations, but they're probably being irresponsible with the money. Like if they needed the money, they shouldn't be buying at Best Buy.
Well, and that's not to say that they probably still need the money, but they're just buying it on the wrong. Like I'll never forget. I went to call for service one time, bro, at a mobile home park, and and I granted, like everybody has different living situations. You can live in an apartment, bro, and still be rich. That's just kind of my personal belief in life. But I went to this mobile home park, and when I walked in, bro, they had like this 80-inch TV, cable, all types of stuff. Kids running around in diapers, no clothes, no nothing on, and I'm just in my mind, I'm thinking like where are the priorities at? Like y'all got a better TV, better phone, better all this than I got. Not saying that I should have it, but it's just one of those things. Like, is where are our priorities set sometimes as Americans? And I think we're spoiled, like very, very spoiled in this country. Like,
100%, 100%.
And like we have our rights, we have freedoms and everything like that. But at the same time, like, we have a tendency to think like I want my cake and I want to eat it too type mentality. Is like, if you go to certain other countries, like they don't have the benefits that we have. They don't have the democracy, bro. They were in China. They were like, what do you call it? When they put people in a room, they were using like the little thing to
weld them.
They were welding people in their buildings, in their room.
What?
Yeah, bro. Look it up. YouTube
That's
it, bro.
Wild.
Like,
I mean, I believe it.
Like welding people, like, oh, you got COVID? You ain't coming out, dog. you got the COVID? We'll let you know when you off timeout.
Yeah, that's wild.
You know what I mean? And and we get upset because we can't go outside or whatever it may be, or they want, or it's recommended we don't come outside. They didn't say we, can't come outside. They just say it's recommended that you stay in place.
I got one better, man. This was my second year on the force. We went down to this trailer park, mobile home area. It's pretty ran down. Extremely low income, like probably one of the lowest in the city. And this guy had a warrant, and he kept evading like the older seasoned officers. So, I made a point, like I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna prove myself to these new guys or these older officers. So I ended up catching him, but he ran in his house. So I go in after him. And we ran in his trailer. I go in after him. My partner goes in behind me. And he turns around. The fight is on. Like he realized he didn't have nowhere to go. He was like, "Well, you have to earn this." So, man, we wrestling around with this dude in his living room. We end up in the kitchen. We back in the hallway. Then we back out in the living room. I mean, dude was squirrely, right? And at one point, we're in the living room, and I'm like leaning against something, and I'm like trying to grab onto him. I'm like, man, what am I leaning on? I look back. Hey, I lie to you not. This dude had one of the nicest hot tubs I've ever seen in my life inside the living room of his trailer. I'm like, it was so nice. I had to take a second from the fight. Like, I'm still holding on to it.
It was like Coming to America when my man was sitting up in the hot tub, bro.
Bro, yes. Hey, that's literally what I thought, man. That's literally what I thought. I was like,
we living lavishly, baby.
This hot tub, exactly. Hey, I was like, this hot tub costs more than your trailer. Like, this is wild. But I asked him afterwards, he was calm once we got him in cuffs. And he was talking to him a little bit, and he's like, he had to go to the hospital to get some stitches because he like fell on his glass thing. He's getting stitched up. And I go, hey, man, that was a nice hot tub you got in your living room. And he's like, yeah. He's like, my mom passed away and left us a bunch of money. And that's what I bought with it.
Oh,
like,
Lord.
Golly, man.
Priorities. Hey, I'm getting a hot tub.
You could have bought a house, man. Like,
Yeah, I'm getting a hot tub. Mama, rest in peace, but thank you.
Yeah, R.I.P. I'm about to be chilling. Skin about to be smooth.
Oh, man. So, yeah, it's crazy, man. So, we got that. And then how have you guys been doing anything different with the jail population out there? And what I mean by that is, like, out here, they've actually released a handful of inmates because of the COVID-19. Like a lot of inmates.
How do you guys feel about that? Because I saw that the sheriff department actually released like almost like a notice, like, hey, warning, we're letting people go. Has anything happened, or how do you feel about that?
So
somebody got killed down in Florida.
Wow. And so funny story is last week, I think I was on patrol, and we got a call for service for some guys that were behind a business, possibly, going through rummaging to the trash cans. So we pulled up, my partners pulled up, and then as we're talking to him, the passenger had like a pipe on him, a methamphetamine pipe on him. So we took him in, and then the driver he was under the influence of drugs. I did an evaluation on him to determine he was under the influence. And so as we're doing that, we searched the car. Bro, they had like so many like brand new jerseys. They had a drone. They had computers, like stuff with tag, like all types of stuff, bro. The crazy thing is we couldn't figure out where it came from, but we've been in the business no long enough. Like, bro, this stuff is stolen. I asked my man, I was like, hey, man, are you working right now? He's like, no. I'm like, so how'd you get all this property?
Yeah. Where you steal this from?
Exactly. He was like, oh, my mom gave me $2,000. He was like, it's a $2,000 investment. I'm like, okay, bro. I'm like, okay. So he had, and like, these were like Dodger jerseys, like NBA jerseys, you name it. So then.
Yeah, but Jordan went in there?
Yeah, I know, right? So as we're going through it all, bro, like, when it come to find out, we found out both of these guys were just arrested like 2 or 3 days prior to that for like felony vehicle burglary and grand theft auto, and they were released like almost immediately because there's zero bail and all this other stuff. So my point is that these guys got out of jail one day and then went and started doing the same exact crimes they were doing that they were arrested for 2 days prior. So I understand that we're trying to contain it and and make sure that folks aren't getting exposed to COVID-19 in these large numbers. But at the same time, when you release a lot, people are in jail for a reason. Like, they're not there for no freaking reason. People are there for a reason. And when you have people just getting out for whatever reason because there's a zero bail amount, that causes problems. And we've already seen the effect of that, at least out here on the streets. What about you, A?
Man, so I'll say that. I'll ask you this. There are countries out there to where if you steal something, they'll chop your hand off, right? And something that you don't see is, can you hear me?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you froze. My bad. So let me start that over here. So I'll say this: there are countries out there to where if you steal, they'll chop your hand off. Guess what you don't see in those countries? People who are missing two hands. Like, they learned the first time, okay, I knew what the risk was. I knew what the punishment would be if I got caught doing whatever, stealing. I did it anyway. I took the risk. I got caught. Now I know what the punishment feels like. I'm definitely not going to do that again. And I say that to say this is it an unfortunate situation? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you are in jail for a reason, right? Like, you are in jail because you can't be trusted with the general public, which is why we take you away from the general public and we put you in timeout for a little bit, right? With that said, do I think that there needs to be like precautions taken and, mask, and should they have like the same, not luxuries, but the same like necessities almost that we have? Absolutely. They should have hand sanitizers. They should have masks. They should have gloves. They should be isolated, right? Like, hey, stay in your cell. Like, we're not risking this. But other than that, like, as far as like releasing them, like, I don't think that's going to work, and like I said, like, there's already been someone who was released in Florida, and 2 days after they were released, they went out and killed somebody.
Wow.
Now, if that somebody was my loved one, I would be feeling some type of way about this, right?
Man, that's crazy. It's crazy. Real crazy, man. I just don't know. I think people make decisions with the right intention, but they don't necessarily think out the repercussions of the decision that they're making, and it affects everybody. It's like a domino effect. And so those are things that we have to do better with. So before we move any forward, though, guys, we have not forgot about the Officer Down Memorial, so we should have something updated to you guys by the next podcast. It's been a phenomenal journey as far as being able to do this every week now. Shout out to my boy Mason, who was on the last episode. He did a phenomenal job. We got a lot of good feedback from that. I showed you guys the picture of Mason's baby shot? Didn't I show you guys that? Yeah, you sent it out in group text.
Oh, yeah, swole baby.
Yeah, we'll have to put that up on the Instagram or the Facebook private group. But yeah, thanks to Mason for being out with us, and we appreciate it. So what we're gonna do is something a little different today. So Billy asked our private Facebook group questions, and Billy actually came up with questions from himself from like a civilian standpoint. And so what me and AJ are going to do is we're going to fill those questions, and we're going to see if those questions take us, on a little bit of a journey as far as a good topic for discussion today. So we will be having some more podcast guests coming in here soon. We reached out to a few people, and if you guys want to see a specific podcast guest on our show, just reach out to us. And if it goes along the lines with what it is that we're trying to accomplish, then we'll definitely reach out to them. And I repeat, if it goes along the lines of what it is that we're trying to accomplish, we will reach out to them. I say that for a reason, because I've had people reach out, and unfortunately sometimes it just
secret motives.
People seems like they have a secret motive, and that's not what we're into. That's not what we're into. So that being said, Billy, I'm gonna let you to take it away, bro, and then let's go from there.
All right, first question. So both you being married guys, how much do you keep from your spouse, or how much detail do you give to your spouse? Like, you come back from a hard day, let's say like something crazy went down, kind of like a dead body scene. You feel like you need to talk about it. What do you share and what do you not? And then who do you share it with if you can't share it with your spouse?
Who you want to go first, Billy?
You, AJ.
You would.
Hey, well, when the person asks the question.
Nah, you guys playing. I don't share details. Like, if something funny happens or like really crazy, and crazy as far as like you wouldn't believe it crazy, not like horror, gory, guts type crazy, I'll share it. But other than that, like, she could tell by like the way that I come home that I had a bad day, and she'll ask me like, "Did you have a bad day today?" And I go, "Yeah, I did," or I don't want to talk about it. And then she'll just kind of give me my space, because that's how I am. Like, when I'm going through something, I just give me a little space for a little bit, let me process it, and then I'll bring everything back. But there are times where I do tell her. So when I was involved in that incident, I got the heads up that there were going to be protesters at my house 4 days before they showed up. And I talked to like my supervisors and superiors and whatnot, and asked them like, "Man, do you think I should tell her?" And they're like, "Nope, don't say one word to her. What you're going to do is you're going to take her out to dinner. You're in between these times, make sure you're away from the house at this time. If dinner runs short, take her out to get some dessert or some ice cream, or drive around and look at the flowers and stuff." So I'm like, okay, cool. And come to find out, the protesters showed up, and one of my neighbors actually called her and were like, "Hey, there's people out here screaming your name and address."
Billy or AJ were trying to wine and dine the wife, into like this and they just give it up for you.
Kind of, yeah, snitched on me. So, it kind of opened up some good dialogue between us as far as what I'm gonna open up to her about and what I'm not. So of course, like, if our safety is at risk, then she'll know about it. But other than that, like, I don't feel a need to bring home the weight and like put it on her shoulders as well. If I could go about handling it a different way. But yeah, that's a good question.
I think for me, so I talk to my wife about mostly everything when it comes to the job. Like AJ said, I don't really get into details. The one thing, but I know my wife pretty well, and I know things that are really close to her heart, and if it's going to affect her, then there's things that I may not tell her unless I absolutely have to. And so for example, like anything involving kids, if I've gone on a traumatic situation, I've gone on a few drowning babies, I've gone on a couple calls where a child gets hit by a car and doesn't make it. Those aren't things that I'll necessarily bring home. I may just tell my wife a very broad statement or something like that, but I will bring it up. I've noticed though, because I have 3 kids, if they're outside doing something like playing in the street or doing something like that, I'll bring it up, but I'll be like, "Hey, look, like, I've been on this, I've seen that, I don't want that to happen here." And because those things always resonate with me, is like, I've seen the aftermath of what happens when we get careless sometimes. And so those are situations I'll bring up. Anything involving like adults and stuff like that, like, I'll bring it up to her. I don't really go into details with her, you know what I mean? But I'll talk to her about it, because, and I think and this is kind of where my faith comes in and my wife's faith comes in, is like, we realize that there's things that are going to happen in life, and it's unfortunate, but there's things that we just can't control. And because of that, does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. But, I'm not one of those people that, and I think that's where, if you're going into law enforcement, or you're already a police officer or whatever, those are some of the things you have to consider when getting into this profession, and your spouse, as how are you going to cope with different things. This is a job that you cannot allow alcohol to be your coping mechanism. You can't allow women or being going out there sleeping on partying, like that can't be your coping mechanism, because you're going to get exposed to so much on a daily basis that if that becomes the way you cope, then you're on a crash course for disaster. And so for me, my coping mechanism is spiritual, and that just always helps me. And it always helps me. Like, I go home and sleep like a baby at night.
Yeah.
Even and I had a critical incident too. Yeah, I called my wife right away and let her know. And I slept like a baby that night. I was tired. People knew something, like I was stressed out, but I slept like a baby, because at the end of the day, the weight of my stresses is on the shoulders of the Lord's. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what helps me.
Awesome. So now a question from the Facebook group. And if you enjoy the podcast, we do have a Facebook group called #It'sNeededPodcast, and it's a private group, and it's just a place for people to connect. But this is a question from Lena. Her question is, I plan on starting to apply for police officer jobs in less than a year. I wear a headscarf for religion, and then in parentheses she says I'm Muslim. As far as I know, there are no officers in the state I live in that wear a headscarf on duty. It's exciting knowing I may be breaking all stereotypes, yet scary knowing I might be the first to attempt this. Any advice?
Hey, so for me, it's funny. Like this week, somebody had reached out to me and was like, man, like I was appalled by just reading some of the comments on your Instagram page, because, I do these Tillman takes and people will be going in, like not necessarily at me, but just like some of the comments are just crazy ridiculous. And we're going to get to our social media meetings in a little while. But one of the things, and it's funny, so I as a public speaker and as a motivational speaker, one of the things I like to do is I always like to look at different situations, whether it be a movie, whatever it may be. And if I get some type of inspiration from it, then I allow it to help me. And I haven't been able to use this line yet in one of my presentations, so you guys will hear it first. But the movie Black Panther, one of my favorite movies all time, one of my favorite Marvel movies all time. Partly because it's Black Panther. But anyways, there's a scene in that movie where he gets his new costume, or not his new suit. And when he gets that new suit, his sister's like showing it to him and everything. And so, he's like, hey, what's so significant about it? And what's so significant about it is like, she's like, kick the suit. So he kicks it, and you just see like the whole suit just absorb his impact. So then they do all these different things. They're like, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. And it just absorbs all this energy. And so what ends up happening is that suit that absorbed all that energy, now he's able to use it, and he just does whatever he wants to it. Now it comes back even bigger, and it basically explodes like however he wants to use it. And then you actually see the first fight scene with him in that suit, and they're like shooting at him and all this other stuff, and he's like getting all this energy, and my man just goes off. Like once he absorbs it, he uses that energy for the better and actually helps save himself, helps save lives and stuff. So the point of the analogy is that anytime people shoot attacks my way, anytime people look at me crazy, anytime somebody got something negative to say, I take it and I absorb it. And I use that stuff to fuel me for the better. It only fuels my drive more. So when I come out and when I want to start, when I want to create a business BBU, when I want to be better with BBU, when I want to have a better podcast, a lot of that stuff is fueled by the negativity that I get. There's two ways I can respond to it. The first way I can respond to it is just, soaking my own sorrows and just like, oh, why me? Why is everybody talking about me? And oh, shame on me. And I can't do this. I can't do that. That's number one way. And that's probably the most popular way, because a lot of people don't know how to respond to it. The second way you can respond is, like I just said, absorb all that stuff, allow it to fuel your fire, allow it to motivate you when people do got something to say, because it's different. When people do got something to say because like, oh, you know what, you shouldn't be doing that. That's not how we've done it. This isn't traditional. Allow that to fuel your fire, because that's going to be the start. That's going to be bedrock where you're going to be able to lay the foundation to change it for people that come after you. So that's what I've been able to do for myself. I consider myself like Black Panther, and I'm going to absorb all those attacks. So that way, when I come out of it, I can have a fire that's lit just to go out there and change the way I see it, and not allow what people say to affect the way I perceive my own self.
Yeah, no, that's you hit the nail right on the head with that. And I think it's exciting, and you should be excited about it. And if there's ever a time where like you find yourself frustrated, whether it's somebody saying something or just your nerves getting the best of you, I want you to take a step back and think about this. Think about the first female police officer. Think about what was running through her head and the fears that she had. And because she pushed through that and took the necessary steps to become a police officer, now you have the opportunity to not only become a police officer, but to also break down those barriers and go, you know what? I'm a female and I'm going to wear my head wrap. And the same thing with like, the first African-American police officer. I can't imagine what was running through his head. Like, oh my goodness, they're going to kill me at roll call. Literally, they are going to kill me. But he took a step back. He realized, you know what? I'm paving the way. Like I'm making my own path and people are going to walk on this path comfortably behind me because I'm going to make sure of it, right? Like I'm not just going to chop the trees down and then you got to walk through it and bugs going to be jumping around. It's going to be paved, right? This bad boy going to have bricks and it's going to be comfortable, right? That's what I want you to remind yourself of. But while you're reminding yourself of that, be excited. Be excited. Like you're the first to do something, man, there are a few things more exciting than that because people are going to look back in the books and go, boom, that's who did it right there. That's the one who paved the way right there.
That's
so
it.
Yeah, be excited.
That's it. Hey, remind me after we get done with this. I got an idea, but go ahead.
Okay. Next question. This was from my wife. Is it hard to turn off the police officer when off the clock? And as a police officer, even when you're off the clock, do you feel more responsibility, I guess, that you'd have to help if something happened?
Go ahead, AJ.
Man, for me, it's hard because I don't know if what I do is because I'm a police officer or how I grew up or because of how I grew up. And I'll give you an example. Growing up, I had to I was the man of the house, right? Like at a very young age, I was the man of the house. And we lived in the inner city, like smack dead in the inner city, in the hood, the ghetto, whatever you want to call it. Like it was bad. I had to stay up. I had to sleep on the couch and I had to stay up until about 1 or 2 a.m. And my mom would get off work, maybe even later than that. But my mom would get off work and I would sleep on the couch. That way I would hear her pull into the driveway. I would wake up. I would open the front door. I would make sure she got home. Like I would make sure she walked in the house safely from the car to the house, right? And then when she got in, she would go right to the shower and go to the bedroom. I would lock the door. I'd lock the front door. I would go to the back. I would double check the back door. And then I would double check all the windows in the house, right? And it was just a habit. Like that was just normal for me and really everyone that I associated with because we all lived in the same area. And now I live in a nice area, right? Nice house, friendly neighbors, right? I find myself doing the same thing. Like before I go to bed, we have a routine where I'll stay up late and then Shelby will come out into the living room and we'll like kind of like cross paths where I can get some sleep in the bedroom. Before I go back there, I still to this day, I'll walk by the windows, I'll just eyeball them and I'll double check the door handles on the front and back door. And I don't know if that's because of the way that I was raised or if it is because I've seen how many people's houses get broken into.
Probably a little of both.
And that's what I think. I think a little bit of both plays into it. But it's hard because Shelby and I just had this conversation yesterday because little man just got his first shots today at the doctor's office. And Shelby was doing her research about the shots and, what's in them, how much aluminum is in them, if we could stagger them because she doesn't want to give them to him all at once. And this debate was brought up and come to find out, she does the same thing that I do because I'm a police officer because she's a nurse, right? So because I'm a police officer, when I go to a restaurant, where do I sit, Ryan?
By the door. You got to sit with your back facing the door.
Right. Like every police officer knows that, right?
But that
like,
don't make sense. You got to sit facing the door.
No, you
back against
facing
the wall.
The door with your back against the wall facing the door.
Yeah, exactly.
But every police officer knows that. Like you ask any police officer, hey, when you go to a restaurant, pick your seat. Where's it going to be? They're going to be like, well, my back needs to be against the wall. And I need to know where the door is at. Mm-hmm. And come to find out, she does the same thing because she's a nurse, right? Like she's a nurse. She worked at Children's Hospital for a little bit. So little man's getting his shots and she's like, well, I need to know everything because I know what happened. So, I guess to answer the question, I do find myself being in cop mode a lot more when I'm not at work. But it's hard. I feel like there's different levels, right? Like I feel like there's being aware, right? Like I'm aware that this stuff happens, but then I feel like there's that next level where people are like, oh, wait, you sneeze. What are you doing? Freeze. You know what I mean? So
yeah, exactly.
As far as taking action, like, nah, I ain't really worried about taking action. Like you gotta be doing something pretty crazy.
Bro. Observe and report.
Yeah, you gotta be doing something pretty wild for me to spring into action.
Like, bro, security ties, bro. Observe and report. Be the best witness you can be.
That's it. You know, I might join the crowd and just put my phone out and be like, "World Star." Nah, I ain't gonna do
World Star.
I ain't gonna do that. Yeah.
Oh man,
I ain't springing into action. That's just a big boy felony. So,
you know, for me, I'm like AJ. I'm always aware of things, but I've always been like that. I was like that before I was a cop. I was always aware of everything. I was sitting like that same way in restaurants even before I became a cop, and that's just because one of the ways I grew up. My dad always told me to be like that. My dad always taught me and raised me to be like, don't be a lone sheep. Like, make sure you have that mindset that you can observe and see things. So that was before I was a police officer. So it's only been amplified now that I'm a police officer. So I'm always aware. I do have a good way of turning it off when I'm not working. Like, I don't mind turning it off, bro. I'll turn it off all day. But the moment something goes a way that I may have seen at work or something may feel off, then I'll snap into it like, okay, hey, we need to do this. Or I don't know. Did I ever give y'all? I think I gave y'all this when my alarm went off in my house, didn't I? Oh, no. So we got a lot of new listeners. If not, I'm gonna give you. Yeah. If not, I'm gonna tell you. But anyways, it's a funny story. So I never forget. One time we were, me and my wife had just got a new alarm system at the house, and so one of the days, I don't know why my wife and my kids just get thirsty when they go to bed all of a sudden. Like they can go all day without drinking any water and be fine, but the moment I lay down and I close my eyes, one of them, like I said, my wife or my kids, be like, hey, babe, I'm thirsty. Can you grab me some water? I'm like, all right. so yeah, no problem. So I get up. I go downstairs this day because I think I was getting one of them some water or something like that. And when I walked down the stairs of my house, the alarm went off. And it was like 11 o'clock at night. So I'm not going to lie to y'all, bro. Like, at first, I froze up. Like, there's something that they say, like, yeah, that fight or flight mode. Like, I immediately froze up like a deer in headlights, bro. And the funniest part about it, I was in my drawers with no shirt on, got some socks on, like Macaulay Culkin, bro, from Home Alone, bro. That's what I was like. So I just froze up. I'm hearing the alarm go off, and it says screen door. It says back screen door, and I'm looking at the back screen door, bro, and I'm like, oh snaps, like, dude is coming like right for me. Yeah. So like immediately after that though, I had to snap out of it. I was like, okay, calm down. Heart's beating out my chest. I go upstairs, grab my gun, and I'm like pieing the house. Like I'm like cutting corners, doing it slow. Like I'm all of a sudden all Mr. SWAT operator and everything like that. And so I immediately stopped into my training. So the reason I bring that up is because there are times where I will go into police mode and say, okay, I need to do what I need to do. And this is funny. And side note, man, I was talking to one of my other good buddies who I'll probably have on the podcast eventually, my boy Grice. And we grew up together. He played in the league for a little bit, played for the Dolphins, and now we're partners. I be recruiting everybody. So we were talking. He's on the SWAT team, so I'm always making fun of him. Like, oh, you SWAT, huh, Ariel? Oh, you SWAT. Oh, excuse me. So anyways, right. The other day we were talking, and I'm on the crisis negotiation team. So there's always like this little rivalry between SWAT and crisis negotiation. SWAT's always like, hey, man, make sure y'all have the pizza ready while y'all chilling while we doing the real work and vice versa. So anyways, we're talking the other day. I see him when we're leaving work, and he's like, I was like, hey, man, ain't it kind of cool, though, when you just be out in public or you be at like a party or something like that and you get a call out? And like everybody's like, because sometimes like if there's like a barricaded subject or whatever, you get called out, you got to go into work. So we're just laughing and stuff. I was like, we were just joking around. We're like, yeah, our ladies, our wives, they act like they don't really like, oh, my husband has to leave, but secretly they're probably like, oh yeah, my man got to leave.
Saving the world.
He got to go save.
Yeah, he got to go put his cape on.
So me and Christ were like, oh, I guess I got to go save the world
my
again.
My baby's so brave.
Exactly, bro. So I was like, so we were just cracking up. I remember the first time I got called out for like a barricaded subject, and like we were at a birthday party, and everybody's like, hey, where you going? I was like, oh, guys, I gotta go save the world again, y'all. You know, I gotta go
got
talk
this
them off the
thing I
ledge.
gotta go do.
I got this thing I gotta go do. Gotta go talk them off the ledge, y'all. I'm sorry. So it's just funny. So like, you know, I know I gotta, you know, went off squirrel, but it's just funny. Like, yes, I am in cop mode a lot of the times, but I do know how to turn it off.
Yeah, and I think for non-law enforcement, you can still take ownership and leadership of your family seriously and protecting them seriously. You know, but that you said like your training kicks in. It shows it's important for non-law enforcement to maybe get some training, not all the time.
Oh,
but
yeah, for sure.
have some like basic understanding of like
100%.
home protection and things like that.
100%.
Yep. Hey, so this was years ago. I mean, it's probably 7-8 years ago. Police officer working third shift. I lived in an apartment at the time, like pretty much attached to like our really big shopping mall. And I get off work. It had to be like 8-9 a.m. So I'm zonked, right? Like I'm tired. I just worked a double. So I go in the back bedroom, lay down. I go to sleep. 30 minutes later, I wake up. And I think that's another thing is like there's certain sounds that'll wake me up, right? Like I can hear the world ended and I'll sleep through it. But like if I hear a door handle jiggle or like a window open, I'm up. Like it like you wouldn't believe. So I hear the front door open. Like the front door of my apartment open. So I'm laying in bed. And like you said, like I didn't freeze, but I'm like sitting there processing it. Like, hold on, like, am I tripping?
I know I didn't hear this.
Is what's going on really what's going on? So I like kind of like look over because now I don't want to make too much noise just in case somebody coming in, right? So like I kind of like get up and I look over and I see light coming through down the hallway, which means my front door is open. So I'm like, oh snap. So I reach over, I grab my gun. So I pull the covers off. I lean up. I'm getting out the bed slow, right? Like hold on, like am I tripping? So I get out the bed and I'm like, hold on, like this ain't real. Like this is not real. Like there ain't somebody in my apartment right now. And then sure enough, I see a figure walking around my apartment. Like I can see the shadow because the light's coming down the hallway. I can see a human figure walking in my apartment. So I'm I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a wrap. Like, yeah, it's a wrap.
Get
like,
plugged,
bro. Someone please call 911. Like, it's about to be bad.
Oh,
right?
I am 911.
Yeah. So I peek around the corner, and sure enough, I see somebody like reaching up in my cabinets. So I'm like, oh, it's about to be bad. Like, y'all might as well call who y'all got to call.
Oh, wow.
Do. So I'm creeping down the hallway, and I see him clear as day. I could just see like the back of him.
Getting your
like,
sight
reaching
picture
in my cabinets. So
was it Bruh Man from the 5th floor?
Yeah, so
hey, if you don't watch Martin, that's an inside joke.
Oh yeah. Hey, so I turned into a ninja, man. I jumped the kitchen counter, grabbed him, turned around, I put my gun in his face, and it was the maintenance man. And hey, he never. But granted, he never told me he was coming in. He might have knocked. I might have been asleep. But you got to give me notice, and they know I'm a police officer, so they need to know even more. So like, hey, don't go walking up in his place. So yeah, I went down. I actually racked the round out of the magazine or out of the head of the gun, and I took the round down to the leasing office and slammed it on their desk. And I was like, hey, this almost ended up in your maintenance man. They were like, oh my goodness, we'll give you a free month rent. And I was like, you better give me a free month rent. Like,
hey, my man had to do some maintenance on his pants after that. I bet you that.
Oh, he was terrified. He was falling over his stuff. It was embarrassing.
You were brave to jump over the kitchen counter. That would not have been my first
jump
over and grab him.
You know he fell though. You know AJ probably tripped. It wasn't all as cinematic.
He fell on the ground. And it was all embarrassing.
This is a true story. Yeah. This is a true story. When I jumped, so I had to jump the counter to get to him, or he would have seen me coming. Like that's why I did it. Because it was like one of the attached. Like the island was like attached. It wasn't an island. It was like attached to the walls, like a bar setup kind of. But the sink is on the other side. So when I jumped, my left foot was still in the sink, but my right foot was on the ground. But I had him like pinned up against the refrigerator. So I was like, yeah, you move, man.
That's the coolest thing I ever heard.
We got to make a short video clip of that.
All right. Another question from the Facebook group from Layne. So this is more of a spiritual question. How the other day or other podcast I was talking about like my plans, like life plans, maybe maneuvering them a little bit. She asked, she's thought about this a lot since she's struggling with her own situation. She's wanted to be in law enforcement for many years, but doors keep closing and mountains keep getting higher. At first, I thought it was the enemy putting obstacles in my way so I couldn't spread my message and achieve my goals. she's wondering if God has a different plan for her. So I think the specific question should be, in your own life, how do you feel? How do you know that you're hearing from God? Like how do you experience God kind of manifesting and showing himself to you in your life?
That's a great question. So
that is a good question.
So let me start with this. When we ask God for something, or we want, to know an answer on something, there's three answers. There's yes, there's no, and there's not right now. And so a lot of us get caught up in thinking that God is always going to say yes. So we almost, in our own way, pray for something, but we've already come to the conclusion like this is what it's going to be. The other part of that is we'll pray for something and it may not happen in our timing, and we're still pretty content. It just takes longer to get to where we want to get, but it just takes a little bit longer and we're still content with that answer. The answer that we're not content with is the no part of it. And that's not, an abnormal thing. That's normal for all of us. And I'm not saying that your situation is a no, but what I am saying is that every single one of us, no matter what it is in life, no matter what it is that we want to accomplish, we have to be content with God saying no sometimes. And the reason he's saying no is not necessarily because he doesn't want you to do it, but you got to realize is that God is all seeing, all knowing, and he knows the plans that he has for you. And his plans that he has for you is ultimately to further his kingdom further. That's why we live on earth. That's why we live in the first place, is to actually further his kingdom and be used as vessels for him. So if God sees that you can be more beneficial in another place, then he knows that, and he's going to figure out a way to get you in that position so that way you can be better used by him. The hard part is that, let's say your prayer is, hey, I want to be a police officer, and doors are closing. The answer to your prayer may be no, and that's hard to accept. So I understand what your question is well, how do I know if it's a no? How do I know if it's a yes? One of the things I've always done is I always pray. That's the first thing I'll do, is go to prayer and say, God, this is what I want to do. This is my heart's desire. But at the same time, my prayer is also, hey, God, let this be in accordance with your will. And so if I'm out of place on what I want to do, if it's not in accordance, reveal that to me and close the door. And so that was the same prayer I prayed when I got into law enforcement. And I said, God, if this is what you want me to do, open the door. If not, close the door. And the reason I prayed that is because I didn't want to be a police officer. I honestly didn't. Like, this was a last resort for me. This was not something that I was all gun-ho about. And so I said, God, clear as day, like, please, if this is what you want, open the door. If not, close it. And God just flung the doors open for me. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how I got my answer. But at the same time, there's been situations in my life when I walked on, and I talked about that on another story, is I wanted a scholarship out of high school to play football. And it didn't happen right away like it does for a lot of people. I had to go the long way. I had to walk on. But what I learned was the answer to God's prayer was, it wasn't no, but it was a not right now. And the reason it was a not right now was specifically because he was teaching me lessons that I needed to learn in life that I'm going to need to use and pull back from when I get further on in my life, which is now I've recognized, which is law enforcement. There's certain situations that I've been in that I had to go through some adversity and struggle in order to figure out the situation a lot better. Had I not gone through that situation, that adversity early on when I walked on, it would have never happened. And then the no part of it, I've gotten no's in my life. There have been certain situations that I wanted something and I wanted something badly, and God clearly told me no. And it was hard to come to grips with that. But when I got out of that tunnel and I realized why God said no to it, I understood why. One of those things is my dad. My dad has MS. He's had MS for, 12 years. And I always pray, like, God, if you are the God that can heal, if you are the God that can do miracles, if miracles still exist today, how come you can't heal my dad? But I had to realize, and I had to get content with the fact of, no, I'm not. And there's a certain reason. And that reason is because you have to realize that even in the midst of a storm, even in the midst of adversity, I'm still going to give you peace, a peace that you will not understand. And if I heal your dad, yes, it may be good, but you may not understand the full extent and peace that I can give you that's going to surpass your understanding. And there's also things that I'm doing in other people's lives, right? Not just your life, of why this answer to your prayer is no. So the reason I bring all that up is because we have to be content with every single answer that God is going to give us. The yeses, the not right now, but we also have to be content with the no. So I'm not telling you that to kill your dreams. I'm telling you that to say, hey, look, continue to prayer and ask God to give you peace about whatever answer that is. And if it's peace that, hey, this isn't for me, have peace about that. If it's, hey, no, I still want to do this, then allow God to give you the peace to continue. And so that's my best advice for it. That's kind of how I, work and navigate myself through situations in life when it comes to asking God to fulfill my ultimate desire, which is ultimately to serve him and be a vessel for his light.
Yeah, Brian, you hit the nail right on the head, bro. Like, I live my life by the same exact principles, except I forget the word you used. You said no, yes, and then what was the third one?
Not right now.
Not right now. I use you ain't ready. And that's my way of telling myself, like God is looking at me right now saying, you ain't ready for that. Like, you might get it, you might not, but you're not ready now. And I'll give you a perfect example of something that I went through that immediately popped in my head when Billy asked that question is when I finally decided, and finally is in all capital letters when I say that, when I finally decided that I'm going to be a police officer. I'm going to get my life together. I'm going to go through the necessary steps to become a police officer. My heart, my everything was into it. And I faced nothing but opposition, to the point where I spent a year, 365 days of my life in the process for the current department that I work for. And I made it all the way to the end. And they were like, we don't want you. And that's it, right? Like, when they say that, you walk out the door. Ain't no,
you can't crawl back
like that. There ain't no, well, hold on, can I redo this step? Like, that's it. A year of your life is gone. And I remember thinking that exact same thing. Like, well, hold on. Like, how do I, like, is this guy telling me no? Or maybe it's he wants me to do something else. And it was hard for me to decide, what it was. But what I did is I was like, you know what? I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. I'm going to keep it pushing. I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing. If God wants me to be a police officer, like, he's going to throw it in my face. So I did exactly that. Like, I kept working at my job with the intention of just moving up, right? Like, in my mind, I was going to be like a district manager at Staples, right? Like a regional manager at Staples. And my buddy approached me. He said, hey, there's a regional police academy that you could put yourself through, but it costs $5,000. And I was like,
faith walk time.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, I'm like, why are you wasting your time even telling me that? Like, $5,000 to me at that time would be like $100,000 to us right now. Are you going to spend $100,000 on this? And I'm like, well, one, I ain't got it. Right. And two, I don't know how I would get it. The legal way, at least, right? So, I'm unsure why you're telling me this. And we had a talk, and he's like, look, I'll front you this money. I'll put it up because I believe in you, but like, you got to put your all into it. So something you got to know about me is I don't play with other people's money. So much so that I didn't even have a credit card until I married Shelby.
Man,
which is like what 2 years ago, right? Like, I didn't have a credit card. Like, that's how much I don't play with other people's money. So when he said that, I'm like, okay, that's the moment of truth. Like, am I going to do it or am I not? So I'm like, you know what? If it's your will, Lord, like, let it be done. So I go through the academy, and once again, like, departments were like reluctant in hiring me, but I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna just keep it pushing. Like, I got a security job that held my commission. I had arrest power, so it was kind of like being the police, but not really. But then something that happened is, and something that I have found to be true is, when it's time, the doors will fling open. Like you wouldn't believe. Like, it will be so undeniable that you'll go, wow, okay, this is the time. And that's exactly what happened. I got a call from my buddy, and he's like, hey, we're going to be hiring. You got to bleep that out. I said my department. But he said, I got a call from the department you want to work for. They're going to be hiring 50. I got this application that might help you out. I know such and such. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. And the door is flung open. But you're right about the no part, right? Like, sometimes there's a no. So my situation worked out. I prayed about it, and it was, I wasn't ready. And the I wasn't ready is, looking back, when I was 21 years old, there's no way I was ready to be a police officer.
Yeah.
There's no way I was ready for that authority, that power, that stature, being able to put on a badge and, you know, the women flock to you and the people look up to you. Like, I wasn't ready for that at 21 years old, looking back. And I'm thankful that God was like, hey, you're not ready. You'll thank me later, right? But you're right. Sometimes there is a no. And the way that I handle the no is this. If I was to give you your dream car, whatever your dream car is, right? Like, say it's a Lamborghini. If I was to give you the keys, hey, this is yours. You don't got to pay me nothing. But all you got to do is put in premium gas. Like, would I complain about that? Would I complain like, oh, keep in mind, I'm in a position to put in the premium gas, right? Would I complain? You just gave me a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. I got to put in premium gas. It's refill time. No. But for some reason, when we're told no by God, we complain and we forget that we're granted everlasting life, which is way more important than a car, right? But on the other hand, if I was to give you a car, you wouldn't complain about premium gas. But God's telling you, hey, you know what? This might not be ready for you, but keep in mind, you're granted everlasting life.
Yep.
I got this on the shelf for you. We get so wrapped up in it. So how I handle the no is, you know what? At the end of the day, like I'm promised something as long as I do X, Y, and Z, which is I still can't wrap my mind around it. Everlasting life. Like, I can't wait to see Moses and be like, man, tell me how that went down. Like, man, what was in your mind when, you know, that thought was put into your head or whatever. So I don't get wrapped up in it, right? Like, I don't get wrapped up in saying in God being like, no, you can't do that. This isn't for you, right? Like, I don't want you to be a firefighter, AJ. I want you to be a cop, so you could go out and do the community stuff. So you're absolutely right, man. And the yeses, the doors will fling open, and you'll know it. You'll know it. It'll be undeniable.
And just make sure too, you just, you know, as you're, whatever you do, just do it unto God. Whatever it is.
That's it.
So, Billy, I want to ask you that question because you're going through a transition in life as far as, you started at the church, you've been working with us full time, and that's been great. And you didn't been doing weddings, but this COVID-19 has hit you. So how have you navigated your mindset, to help them out? Because it may not be in law enforcement, but I know there's a psyche that we all we struggle with. Every single one of us do. So how do you kind of cope with those things?
Yeah, Lane, I'm going through the same thing. So for me, my day-to-day is just simple. I'm trying to be obedient. And what I can do if I don't know anything else to do is I can read the word and stay in prayer. So those are the two things that I know I can do that are what I should be doing. And then from there, I'm just trusting God to lead. And that's what I can do day to day, especially when you have no idea what to do. So I'm still, and I'm obviously all still being practical in like reaching out to people and trying to make things happen. But I am open to those not working or working. So that's kind of where I'm at.
You brought up a good point right there too, is because a lot of times when we say, hey, look, just have faith, but that means you also have to do your part too. So I'm glad you brought that up, because when I wanted to get into law enforcement and I said, hey, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, then let it be. If not, close the door. It wasn't like I just prayed that prayer and just went back to working at Abercrombie & Fitch and if somebody came to hire me. Like, no, I said, I'm going to give it my all in law enforcement. I'm going to put in the most, I'm going to do everything that I'm supposed to do. And as long as I do what I'm supposed to do and the door shuts and then I will know that this is a clear no. It's the same thing when it came time for promoting to corporal recently. I wasn't sure if I wanted to promote to corporal. I really wasn't. I loved being at the school. I loved being a school resource officer. My schedule was great. I worked Monday through Thursday. I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. I went in at 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. I had a great family time. It worked perfectly with the business. Everything was perfect. Promoting was not something I knew I wanted to do. But I prayed about it, and I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the test. I'm going to study. I'm going to do everything that I need to do in order to get promoted. At the end of the day, there's going to be a decision made that says, yes, you're promoted, or no, you're not promoted. That's when I'll know whether or not this is what God wanted me to do or not. So you can't just say, I'm going to have faith and just say, oh, well, let me wait and see. Like, no, whatever your prayer is, put your all into it. Go your hardest. Do what you're supposed to do. Dot all your I's, cross all your T's. But if it doesn't happen, it may be the answer you're looking for, and you can't be so resistant to say, oh, you know what? No, this is not from God because I didn't get what I wanted. So that's some of the things to remember as well.
Drake said in one of his songs that I go back to this all the time. Like he said, I'm the type to say a prayer and then go get what I just prayed for. And that's exactly it. Like you got to put effort into it. Like you can't just pray about it, right? Like, oh, I pray I want to be a police officer, and like God just blesses you with a uniform and you wake up super cop, right? Like you got to put that effort in. You got to put that effort in. But that's something, man, I probably remind myself that or quote that once a week. I'm the type to say a prayer and then go get what I just prayed for.
Yep. I love it. Go ahead,
Cool.
Billy.
Yeah, so
we got time for a few more, I think.
All right, another question. How do you guys decide when you pull someone over? How do you decide if they get a ticket or a warning? And how can I make sure I'm the person that gets a warning?
Go ahead, AJ.
Oh man. I mean, I normally have my mind made up. Like if you did something so egregious, right? Like if I'm pulling you over, it's for a reason, right? Like I'm either looking for guns or dope, or you did something wild in front of me, and I'm like, yeah, I need to holler at you, right? But I will say, and I'm not saying that I do this, but I know it happens, that there is a such thing as an attitude ticket. There is a way that you could talk yourself into a ticket.
All day, 100%.
And I will say, I'll ask you this. If you're a police officer, so, you know, whoever's listening to this right now, I want you to close your eyes. You are a police officer. You're in a cruiser. You see somebody speeding and they don't have a tail light, right? So you pull them over and your intention is to tell them, you know, hey, this is a school zone. There are kids that play in this area. And then, you know, the sun's going down soon. And, you know, you don't need your tail light now, but I noticed it was out. You might want to get that fixed. Car pulls over. It's in your mind what you're going to do. You walk up to the car. And as soon as you walk up to the car, you're getting cussed out. Why the F you pull me over? You only pull me over because of this. I make more than you. Do you know who my dad is? Now keep in mind, you're a cop. You have the power to write this person a ticket. You have the power to not write them a ticket. Do you think there's a chance that might sway the outcome of the traffic stop?
Oh, they're going to jail.
Billy taking them to jail. Get out the car.
All day.
So I'll just say that there is. Anytime I'm pulled over, I roll all my windows down because I have tinted windows. I turn the radio off. I put my hands on the steering wheel. I have my ID already ready. I'm always polite, even if I don't agree with the reason why I was stopped, even if the officer is a jerk, throughout the entire thing. And I'm a cop. So if I'm doing that as a cop, then, you know, keep that in mind.
Good call.
So the way I kind of do it is, you know, there's two ways that I kind of decide whether or not a person's going to get a ticket. When I pull you over, well, there's a few things that go into it. When I run you and let's say you're speeding, and I run you and I find out that you've been pulled over 4 times for speeding. To me, you haven't learned your lesson yet. So to me, you're probably going to get a ticket because the reason you're getting pulled over is for speeding. Speeding, you can get in an accident, kill somebody. So you need to learn your lesson. A warning is not going to fix it with you. If I pull you over and I ran you, nothing comes back, you're like, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm in fear, whatever. Or not fear, but like, you know, like genuinely, I can see you're genuinely distraught of what you just did. And like, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have been doing that. I acknowledge what I did. I'm sorry. A lot of times I'll think, you know what? I think just to stop alone is going to put this person, or is going to be a good reminder for them that they need to slow down or do what they need to do. And then there's always those, like AJ said, the attitude person, the people that's going to talk themselves into a ticket. A lot of times when I pull you over, I always tell people, I always lead with respect. I could pull you over. You can be doing something. You could be doing donuts. Nah, I take that back. I'll probably walk up to you like, bro, what the heck are you doing out here?
Right.
But for the most part, I'm not going to cuss at you, nothing like that. So I'll approach you and I'll start talking to you. Hey, what's going on? This is who I am. This is why I pulled you over. Not that big a deal. But then there's people that start cussing at me or start giving me an attitude, and you didn't do this, I didn't do that, all that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you're not even going to hear what I got to say. Yeah, you just talked yourself into a ticket. And so my biggest advice for people is just be respectful. I'm not going to tell you that every officer is going to let you out. And that's the unique thing about our profession is that every officer is different. We talked about this before. So every officer makes their own judgment calls. Every officer has discretion. So you can be as nice as ever. You can give the officer the puppy dog eyes, and they'll probably still give you a ticket. Or you may come across somebody like me that I may not give you a ticket. So there's not one thing I can say that I do every single time. That's the great thing about discretion. But those are some of the things that I use in my book is whether or not I'm going to give a person a ticket or not.
Cool. All right, next question. During the hiring process and like the academy or any of that, what were you most nervous for? Like, what did you feel like, man, I do not feel either ready or just nervous for?
That's
the polygraph test, lie detector. Oh my goodness, man!
But that was before though. You said during the hiring process or the academy?
Both, just the whole before you got sworn. And I had a question about the polygraph too. Like, what if you're just nervous, even answering truthful questions? How accurate is that? And how much do they like? Hey, it marked there. Just disqualify them.
I'm not a big fan of the polygraph. I
so
like that.
What they do is they hook you up to the machine, and then they ask you a series of questions before like the actual test start. Right, like the machine's running. So, I'll sit you in the chair, hook you up to everything, and I'll go, is your name Billy? And you're already nervous, right? So your baseline will be where it's at. And you'll go, yeah, my name's Billy. And then I'll ask you something more detailed, like, is your birthday, whatever. And then you'll go, yes. And I go, are you at the police headquarters right now? And then you'll go, yes. So him or her asking you those series of questions is establishing your baseline. So like if you're nervous, your baseline might be up here. Either way, that's your baseline. So then if it spikes, that's what says like, ooh, okay, there was something with this question. And then they'll go back and ask it. Yeah, I was terrified, man. I was terrified just because, it ain't no secret. My background was rocky, like the mountains, okay? And they have your whole life in a packet in front of you, and they just go by and they ask you every single thing. And they kind of play games because there's a human aspect to it. So, he asked me, he goes, so you going to come clean? This is at the end of the test. You going to come clean? And I'm like, come clean? Like, I'm sweating. I just told you everything about my life. Like, what you talking about? He goes, about you stealing. And I was like, oh, stop, bro. I ain't no thief. I ain't never been no thief. Like, if you just said something else, we might be having a different conversation, but I ain't stole nothing. And I told him, I was like, I ain't no thief. Like, I ain't never been no thief. He was like, yeah, well, it shows here. Because I put like I stole a gumball when I was like 8 years old. Like I remember walking this aisle and there was like a gumball machine. And I spun it and one came out and I was like, ooh, I'm going to eat this. So I put it on there. And he was like, well, when you talk about the gumball, he's like, there's something that shows that you stole more than that. I was like, nah, that machine is wrong. But yeah, my polygraph was probably the most stressful part for me just because there's really no way to prep for it other than not lie. So that was mine.
No, for me, the polygraph, I wasn't a fan of polygraph just because like they tried to tell me I was hitting on something. I was like, there's no way I was hitting on that. Like I know for a fact that what I told you was the truth. So polygraph is one.
Maybe more of a mind game than actual.
I think so.
Fact. Yeah.
And two, the academy. I think I was most nervous about the academy. I think it was more so just the unknown. I kind of knew what I was getting myself into, but I didn't know. So I mean, I've always been one of those. I played sports my whole life, and I've done some, pretty stressful and strenuous things, but it was just the unknown. And I was going into a profession that I'm completely, didn't know anything about, paramilitary profession. And I'm not used to being no paramilitary style or nothing like that. So I think that's what made me nervous. I wasn't really nervous about whether or not I was going to be able to complete it or not, just because I'm not no quitter. So it is what it is.
Awesome.
I think we got time for like one more. Where are we at on time?
Hour 6.
Oh yeah, this is one more because there's something I want to get. We have social media meanies and there's something else I want to get to real quick.
So Andrew from the Facebook group asked, what is the best part of the job and the worst part of the job?
That's a good question. You want this one first or what?
You can go first.
The best part of the job, for me, I speak not in general, but more specific. For me, the best part of the job is, I always told myself I would have a job where I would like help people. And I know it's like very cliche because in our academy, the day one, one of the drill instructors comes in and they ask everybody, why'd you become a police officer? And everybody's like, I want to help people. Oh, I'm scared. And then, after a couple of years, you see those officers who said that. And you're like, well, you ain't helping nobody. Like, I don't see you out here helping them. Like, you just, you mega cop. You pulling over cars left and right, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I always told myself I would end up with a job where I could help people. So to me, the best part of this job is you have so many unique ways to help people so often, right? Like I don't know about yours, Ryan, but my shift looks like this. I show up to work. I have a roll call, right? They line us up. They inspect us head to toe, make sure our uniform looks good. We pick our cruisers based off seniority. I'm pretty high up in seniority on my precinct, so I always get the same car. Mm-hmm. I always work with my same partner because that's seniority based as well. So I'm like, hey, Jones, we're taking 112. Like always, like it's not even a question no more. Like Sarge just writes it down. He hands us the keys. See in 8 hours, right? So like we have free reign to drive wherever we want in this big city, and to really do whatever we want as long as we're taking care of certain things. So I could leave the sub. I could run to CVS and buy some hand sanitizer and drop it off to a family who needed it. And then when I'm done doing that, I could run over to the daycare center and read a book to the kids. And when I'm done with that, I can run over to the rec center and play basketball with the little homies, right? Like, to me, that's the best part. Like, and it's so unexpected when it comes from a cop because most people think that police officers are a certain way. And when you do it in uniform, they're like, well, hold on. Mm-hmm. You see the light switch turn on, right? Like, it's like a light bulb. Like, hold on, you didn't shoot me 37 times? or call me a racial slur? Yeah. You're like, nah, I just dropped off a sandwich because, I see y'all playing basketball all day. Y'all probably hungry. So to me, that's the cool part. The worst part is exactly that. Like people automatically assuming they know who you are because you're a police officer. And there's a lot that goes into that. And I won't, stay on it too long because I know we got to wrap this up. But part of that is fearing for your safety or your family's safety, right? Like I can't tell you the last time that I've been out somewhere with my family and not been on the lookout, right? Like, okay, oh, nope, didn't arrest that person. Nope, didn't arrest that person. That person don't know me. And then even more so because Ryan and I have this social media presence where like people would be like, oh, what's up, AJ? And I'm like, okay, friend or foe, right? Like, do you know me from social media or do you know me from the negative stuff that's on social media? So I would say that's the worst part is you put that badge on and people are automatically like, you're a racist. I know who you are. You got picked on when you were in school. I want to fight you or I want to kill you. So those are mine.
And what's funny is me and AJ are so alike. I'm going to agree with the exact same thing he said, man. I think that the best thing I love about our job is that you have, like I talked about earlier, that discretion to kind of do what you want to do. Like go out there. Same thing. When I go to work, I show up. We go to we go check out our patrol cars, and then we go to briefing. Once we go to briefing, we talk about the issues of the day, and then we just head out there and we go handle calls and go do what we got to do. Like yesterday, I'm training somebody. We went to the local park and they opened some of the parks back up. We just got out, put our mask on, and just went and talked to people. And I'm trying to teach my trainee how to just talk to people. And I'm like, hey man, let's just go talk to random people, see how they're doing. And that's what this job is about. So that's what I love about it is that you have the opportunity every single day to make an impact in somebody's life when it's least expected. The bad part about this job is that the generalizations with our profession, associated with our profession, like a lot of people, and nowhere near as many as AJ, but I have 36,400 people that follow me right now on Instagram. I don't know. I probably know about 1,000 of those people, maybe like personally, one-on-one, if that. So I have 35,000 some odd people that follow me on Instagram. That's not even including Facebook or anything else. And yet I have some of those people that follow me or leave comments on my page that are just despicable. And it's crazy. And they don't even know who I am as a person. So they are making comments based on a profession that they either don't like because of personal experience. They're making bad comments because it's a popular thing to do, which is hate the popo, or they're making bad comments because they're legitimately bad people and they don't have anything better to do. And so that's the bad part is like, if I worked at Cheesecake Factory and, I'm not going to go to work and somebody going to cuss me out because they got bad service at a Cheesecake Factory in another city. It just doesn't happen. If I work at, if I work somewhere else, if I work at Abercrombie and Fitch, I'm not going to be in the store and somebody's not going to come in and start cussing me out because they got a bad experience at another Abercrombie and Fitch somewhere else. They're just not going to come into the store. We don't have that luxury in our profession, unfortunately. And if you look at any other profession, doctors, lawyers, you name it, sometimes you actually have that luxury because they're not going to generalize you, because if you're still sick, you're going to go to the doctors and you're not going to think twice about what that doctor is going to say or do to you because you need to get help. Same thing with a lawyer. And so we don't always have that luxury in our profession, but I embrace it. Like I talked about earlier in this podcast, I embrace the adversity and I don't allow that to stop me from doing what I do. It's just one of the things that if I can choose to get rid of something in our profession, that would be it. But then again, if I got rid of that, we may not have the It's Needed podcast because there'd be no need for it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, buddy.
So let's wrap things up. I have a good Instagram or a social media meanie. You got one too, AJ?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I do.
so we're gonna do this.
Irritating.
Let's go do this twice. So we're gonna end this on a positive note. So the one I got, this is pretty funny actually. So my man 509_DED 509 dead commented, "Yo, dude, all of y'all law enforcement, anything are big pink wet butt butts."
Butt butts.
A butt. He's like, yo, dude, all y'all law enforcement, anything are big pink wet butt butts. So
Why I gotta be a butt?
I know I gotta be a butt. I was cracking up when I saw that. Shout out to you, 509 dead man. Appreciate you, bro. Love you, dog.
Yeah. So this one is, man, I'm kind of laughing because I'm going through this guy's profile. And listen, all right, if you listen to this, pull your Instagram up and type in CT. So Charles Tom _ Woodland Fox. So WOODLANDFOX. Yeah, this guy's page is
like
funny,
a tactical guy.
Yeah.
Wait, give it to me one more time.
CT
_
Woodland Fox.
Okay, got it.
I'm pretty sure these are like airsoft guns. But anyway, y'all got to check this man's profile out because it's something special. But anyway, he commented on a video, and the video was a video of me, just hanging out with some kids in the neighborhood. One of the kids was like riding a wheelie, and we're just kind of hanging out. And his comment was, at the end of this video, he shot them both 48 times. So, and then people are commenting under it. But so he thinks once the camera went off, I shot them 48 times each.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So check my man's page out because it's something,
bro.
Dude, this guy kind of freaks me out.
I think he should be on a watch list.
Yeah, I'm all about gun ownership, but this guy feels like odd.
I got one more for y'all. I got another good one. So somebody DM'd me. So I had put up a story, and it was actually a good positive story where I was thanking somebody for like a positive, like, hey, I inspired them or whatever. So I posted that on my story. So somebody DM'd me. He was like, "When the F did I follow your dumb ass?"
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh, I was cracking up, bro. And then he ended with SMH.
That is a good one. He took time out of his day. Hold up.
Bro, I just took a picture of your reaction to that, bro. So anyways, one of the last things I wanted to end on is, so what we have at our police department is we have calls for service that go out. And so when this whole COVID-19 thing started, people were calling the police department for everything that was COVID-19 related. And so what they decided to do was, instead of actually answering these calls, or, they put a hotline out that people can call, whatever it may be, but they just did a running list of some of the calls that we're getting related to COVID-19. So we have a huge list of them, but there's a few of them that stood out to me, and I had to read them, man. You can't make this stuff up. So when I say people call the police for everything, they do. Let me share with you some of them. The reporting party wanted to ride inside of a police unit in order to get coffee from Starbucks. This is a call that came in.
Do they just say no? How do you respond to that? Like,
I don't know. So somebody called in and wanted to ride in the back of a police unit because they wanted to go get something from Starbucks.
So did they dispatch that to you guys?
No. They they fielded it and they just put it in the info only call. Like, hey, this is info only. Like, we're not responding to that. Here's another one.
Because ours, that we don't even get that info. Like that just disappears.
Here's another one. When are we receiving the stimulus checks?
That actually was me.
That was Billy.
That was Billy. That one was Billy.
Hey, did I send y'all the meme about that?
No.
Pull it up real quick.
Here goes another one. Reporting party called advising officers were congregating in one area and not obeying the 6-foot rule. Requested to speak with the supervisor.
Nice.
Hey, this is gonna be Billy when he get his check, y'all.
Oh my god. Oh, that is too funny. Oh my goodness.
If it ever gets here.
Here goes another few ones. Few other ones. Is the police department concerned reference the local Joanne's being open? Another one. Can I stay at Motel 6 for free during the virus? Let's see.
That one was me too. So.
Hey, y'all gotta watch Waco on Netflix, by the way.
Oh, I will. Oh, here's a good one. Can you send someone out because this guy is at the laundry sneezing?
Yeah, he sneezed on you. Yeah.
Let's see. Another one. Do I have to work? Question mark.
The answer is no.
Let's see. Let me do a couple more. Do I have to go to work tomorrow? So let me see. Is there one more? My upstairs neighbor is coughing and spitting into my yard.
Hey, that's nasty.
So those are just a few of them, guys. But I bring those up. It's funny. I read these things and they're just funny because, you know, people call the police for everything. So as much as people like to say they hate police and don't like police, they love calling police for everything. And AJ about to blow himself up over there, acting like a little pyromaniac.
I am a pyro, man. I got problems. Stop playing with
So, hey, guys, we appreciate you guys. We love you. As always, this was a good episode. I love fielding questions from you, so we'll do this occasionally. Like I mentioned earlier, if there's a podcast guest that you like to have on, just shoot it to us on our private Facebook page. And if you guys are not following us on there, make sure you do. It's hashtag It's Needed Podcast. Again, like I always tell you, please download the podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and also leave us a review because that review helps us continue to get better, know the issues that you guys would like to hear, and also continue to address situations involving law enforcement in the community. So that being said, you got any parting words of wisdom to impart upon us as we get ready for our days, fellas?
Man, I don't even know how you put that sentence together, bruh. Man, you have any parting words of part against us? I was like, nah. Hey, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Always be prepared.
I think he said that last time, but okay.
No, I didn't.
AJ's like, oh, shoot. He didn't mark that off my list. I didn't say that.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Check that off.
Anything, Billy?
No, just have a good week, everyone.
I'm going to leave y'all with a knock-knock joke. What did the pig say when he was in the sun too long?
Something about bacon.
Do you smell bacon?
Yeah.
I'm baking.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, I love you guys. I appreciate it. We appreciate you guys following what we do, and we will see y'all next week. Take care.
Peace.